cars since I was probably 2 or 3 years old, basically old enough to understand what a car is. And then I spent the next 15 years wishing I could drive them, until eventually I passed my test, age 18, and I honestly just like driving anything. It doesn't matter what the car is. If it's new to me and I've not driven one, or I've not driven one for a while, I get really excited. And today's a good example of that, because a lot of people would not really understand how I would get excited about driving today's car, which is the Vauxhall Corsa C, the 3rd generation. It's a very, very popular car, and you still see them on the roads today, like everywhere. And in my opinion, they look almost up to date. They're very, very ahead of its time, the design, and also a very, very good looking car. In the 3-door form at least, which this one is, they nailed the design. I think it's probably the best looking little car from its era, definitely. Small cars are just not easy to design. You know, you're talking like a very, very small canvas for them to work with, which requires a lot of practicality. So you've got to fit tall people in, you've got to get small people in, you have to get luggage in, and all within this very short wheelbase. So the designers would definitely find it more difficult to design a little car like this than a big one, and I think they did a superb job. So hats off to them. It still looks up to date. So this car is one of the most basic models of Corsa, with just a 1 litre 3-cylinder engine, which, driving around town at slow speeds, is it's alright. I mean, I honestly don't think you need any more power. It's just where it struggles is when it gets to a hill, which just arriving at one now, and yeah, you have to keep the revs up. Definitely needs it. But on the positive side, this 3-cylinder sounds really nice. Something about 3 cylinders, or pretty much any number of cylinders that's not 4, always sounds good. I don't know why 4 is so boring, but yeah, this is quite nice. And as long as you see, now it's just sort of sitting at 45 in 4th with my foot to the floor, going up this hill. So it'll get up there. You just have to. It's like riding a bicycle. You need to make sure you're in the right gear, and then when you're going uphill, just like your legs would be absolutely blasting around, this car's engine is doing the same. So now that we've reached a downhill section, it's obviously not struggling at all. It's quite happy going downhill. Now, with a car like this, you can enjoy these B roads, because you can kind of put your foot down and not worry too much about getting up to some ridiculous speed and getting into trouble. And it also sounds nice, so as long as you're not after that sensation of being chucked back in your seat and the G-forces around the corners, then it's quite enjoyable. A lot of fun to be had in these little cars with little engines. The gear change is nice. You can feel it slot into that gear. It's not vague or notchy like you might find in some cars. I mean, even my modern day Vauxhall, the Astra, that feels like it's you have to kind of force it in a bit more. So the gears are positive feeling, and the steering, well, goes round corners, which is maybe what you want from a car like this. I would say with this car, it's with a lot of small cars from this time, you'd get things like the interior would not be covered completely, and you'd have open expanses of metal inside. And I think that this car has a more grown-up interior, a bit more equivalent to a larger car, and that means that the whole car feels a little bit more sophisticated. I think the interior, obviously the plastics are what you would expect for a car of this price range, but it looks nice enough, and It's all very, very simple to use. I mean, this is the basic base model, and it has almost nothing as an extra. So you've got a heated rear screen, and that's that's about it for the buttons down there. It does sound good, that. Listen to this. Listen to this. So, while I'm ragging it round, let's talk about fuel economy. Now, I don't know the figures. All I know is it hardly uses anything. I put 12 quid in it the other day, and it seems to have used about £1 worth of fuel in all the driving I've been doing. When the owner bought this car, the person they bought it off fancied themselves as a bit of a saleswoman, and she said that the car runs on fresh air. Well, I'm inclined to agree. I think it might also use a little bit of petrol, but probably only a little sprinkling of petrol, and then away it goes. So I'm coming up to the what I call the Stelvio Pass of the Peak District. Bit of a hill climb. Come on, car, you can do it. So here we go, Stelvio Pass of the Peak District. Round the corner in second, and it's just got enough to pull round the corner in second, and then another sharp right-hander. Again, yeah. So now that we've got to a bit more of a cruising speed, when this car with its 3-cylinder 1 litre, it really doesn't want to go on the motorway. You're talking like 60 miles an hour, 3,000 RPM, so that's much faster than that. It's not going to be comfortable for long journeys. But it's fine on your normal A roads, 50 miles an hour. So just I mean, there's quite a bit of wind and road noise, but that's to be expected from a car like this. Practicality wise, I mean, I'm 6 foot tall, and the headroom in here is just immense. It's a wonder this car doesn't look like Postman Pat's van from the outside, because I think anybody could fit in here, really. So I'm just accelerating away here to make sure this truck doesn't catch up with me, and it sounds like I'm ragging the tits off the car, but all I'm doing is getting up to 50. There we go, 50 miles an hour. Yeah, so not the fastest. And now that I'm cruising, I can hear a lot of wind noise from that the wing mirror, and also road and engine noise. But again, it's a little car; it's not really designed for this. So this particular car has covered 56,000 miles, which is very low for an 18-year-old car, and it's in really good nick. Now, it has been looked after. It's got full service history, and in addition to that, I serviced it myself as well, which was pretty easy. I'm not by any means mechanically minded. I love cars, but I'm not good at fixing them, and the service was very simple. Oil filters right at the top of the engine, so you can just whip that out, unscrew the cap and whip it out, and the filters are all easy to get to as long as you've got the right torque screwdrivers. Yeah, so anyone can service it, and it's a shame, I think, with these sorts of cars that they don't tend to get serviced, and therefore I reckon that most of them that end up failing and breaking down are just not well looked after. You know, the oil will be like solid black oil. So this particular car is 18 years old, because it was built in 2003, January 2003, so it's just celebrated its 18th birthday, and I feel like I need to go and get it a pint at the pub. Here in the UK you can drink at 18, and I think, you know, it deserves maybe a pint of Castrol GTX or something, just to I mean, it's a good innings for a car, and this one's still got life left in it yet. And all credit to Vauxhall, can't see any rust anywhere on it. It's in good nick. I think it has been looked after. The headlights are completely cloud they're not clouded over like you see in a lot of cars. Yeah, it's in really good shape, and I think partly that's the way it's been looked after, but I think they did build these cars well. So here in town is really where this car is absolutely in its element. You don't need anything bigger than your 3-cylinder engine, really. If you're using the acceleration of a quicker car around town, then you're probably just being dangerous. This is with this car, it's plenty. Just don't show it any hills. It's very basic in here, the cabin. You don't get much. You do get 2 electric windows for the driver and passenger. The stereo has been upgraded. It's got a new head unit, a Sony one with Bluetooth, which I would recommend if you have one of these, because Bluetooth is great. Otherwise, yeah, you've got the glove box, quite small. Small door pockets. Got some weird storage down by the side of the seats, which is very narrow. You can't really get much in it. There's one little cup holder back here, which is kind of a weird place for it, and it's very shallow, so probably not very safe. This is probably showing my age now, but when I was learning to drive, these cars were quite new, and even this little tiny screen, which looks so old hat now, was quite modern as far as I was concerned. You get your time, date and time, and not much else displayed on there. It even tells you the actual date, which is, I've always thought it's quite interesting. You don't get that in many cars. And this one always resets itself to 2000 if the battery's been unplugged or gone flat. So it often thinks it's 20 years ago in a brand new car. Now, a funny little sound this car makes. The indicator. It sounds like some old 8-bit computer game on a Nintendo or something. I quite like it. It's quite sort of charming in a way. So here we are in the back of the Corsa. I've got the seat in front of me set for me. Again, I'm 6 foot, and my knees just about touching the back. So yeah, I fit behind myself, which is good. It's good. And then really back here there is nothing. You can't open the windows, not even like as a flap. And you've got headrests all the way across, which is good. Seat belts, obviously, 3 of them. Yeah, not much else to report. Not even a courtesy light. So, as there's not much back here to talk about, I'll take this opportunity to just say that you probably already know this, but this car is a perfect first car, especially with this tiny engine. Your insurance is going to be cheap. You shouldn't be going at particularly high speeds and getting into any accidents, although obviously as new drivers with first cars that might happen, in which case this car scored a 4-star Euro NCAP, but that was back in 2002, and the NCAP ratings have improved, the testing's improved since then, so you can't really compare that to a modern day car. But 4 out of 5 stars for its day was pretty good. I still wouldn't recommend having an accident in one if you can avoid it. I mean, this particular base model doesn't even have a passenger airbag, it just has a driver's airbag, and that's it. So be careful is what I would say. But the actual shell of the car is pretty rigid. So those are my thoughts on the Vauxhall Corsa C. It's not a bad little car, and you could definitely do a lot worse. Don't forget to smash that like button, or alternatively maybe just click it or stab it with your finger, whatever. But if you want to watch any more of these sorts of videos, remember to hit the subscribe button or click on the little subscribe thing that's going to appear here. Or if you want to watch another video, there'll probably be one up here. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.